The guest we're about to have, Jessica Chase. She's the CEO and co-founder of Get Above the Fold, a programmatic advertising agency operating in one of the most complex, most technical, most jargon-heavy corners of digital marketing. And yet, the way she shows up online is anything but complex. It's clear, it's personable, it's authentic, and it's consistent, and it works. So she got my attention, she got the conversation, and if you ask her, that's exactly the point. Today, we're talking about how founders in complicated industries use personal brand to build trust before the first meeting ever happens. It's what I call authority capital, and why the most credible voice in a crowded market is almost always the founder who's willing to show up. This is Return on Reputation. Let's get into it. All right, everybody, welcome to another episode of Return on Reputation. Jessica, welcome to the show. So happy to have you here. Thank you for being here.
Happy to be here.
Yeah. So I want to start with you. Who is Jessica Chase? What's Get Above the Fold all about? And what do you guys do for your clients?
In terms of who I am, I love being a mom. I love doing yoga. I love personal development.
Yeah. There's nothing like running a business for that.
And I think that I ran into that the hard way. Just like,
Okay.
I think there's a lot of founders out there that start a company and the original reason that I did it was for more flexibility,
Yeah.
just being a mom. And then you realize it's a lot more work than actually working for a corporation. But through that, you find yourself. And so
Yeah.
I like who I am has evolved a lot over my entrepreneurial journey. And, who I was when I first became a co-founder of a company to now has just, there's been a lot of growth, and who I am has just changed a lot over time. And I think a lot of that comes from failures and kind of overcoming those failures and then becoming just a new person. And then in terms of who my company is, getabovethefold.com, we partner really well with other marketing agencies like SEO agencies, paid search agencies, affiliate agencies, branding agencies, really any other marketing agency, because we need our clients to have a defined brand, a defined customer persona, an understanding of who their customer is and how much it costs to acquire a customer. And so we partner really well with those other types of agencies because they help us figure that out first. And then the clients, I want to press the gas now on my growth. So I want to turn TV ads on, and I want to turn podcast ads on, and I want to turn Spotify ads on. Just they know who their customer is, how much it costs to acquire them. And now they're like, let's press the gas on all these other ad formats that we haven't tested yet so that we can grow more.
Yeah. Got it. And we're going to dive into what programmatic really is in a little bit, but I want to just go into what you just said about being a founder and self-improvement and being the best self for your children and your employees and your family. And I'm same boat because I can relate to that so much. I talked to another guest on the show we had several episodes ago, Shay Askew, and he's got an incredible story. And we both said the same thing is there's a saying choose your heart. It's very popular right now. And it's you can either be, and so you can either be, everything's going to be hard, right? You just get to choose. And so waking up early, doing yoga and meditating and finding that is hard, right? That's not the easy path, but it's also hard to not do that and be not mindful and not have energy and maybe burn the midnight oil or drink until 2 a.m. every day. You wouldn't show up well either. And that's a hard spot to be too, right? So extremes, obviously, whatever you choose, a lot of people are like, that's the easy path and the hard path. Both are hard for different reasons. And I've been doing the same thing starting OB Creative. And I think we've both been at it for about 5 years. And there's nothing like, I think, entrepreneurship to sharpen that sword, and because it takes so much energy.
Yeah.
And so it's you have to water the plant and provide for the nutrients to then show up 100%.
And I was getting in the habit of waking up every morning with anxiety. And I think a lot of founders and people in leadership positions feel that way. And
Yeah.
parents, they wake
Yeah.
up and they're just like, what's going to happen today? And thinking of like worst case scenarios kind of thing. And like, I woke up feeling that way. Nobody wants to wake up feeling just like a sense of dread and like a sense of anxiety. And so I just, I had been thinking about meditating and
Mm.
kind of doing it here and there, like on vacations or when I had time. And I just really wanted to create it as like a habit. And so I was like, it takes on average 60 days to create a habit. So the first thing I'm going to do when I wake up in the morning, even when I'm half asleep, is just like pop on some kind of meditation from YouTube.
Okay.
Doesn't matter what it is, just something positive. And it literally has changed my life. I've been doing it for
Wow.
about 440 days. And sometimes I do just like a quick 20-minute, but most of the time I do a couple of them and try to get about 40 minutes in. And then recently I actually started hiring a shaman, energy
No
healer,
way.
and she's having me do hypnotherapy as well,
Okay.
layered onto that meditation
Wow.
as well.
Is
So I'm like,
have you started the hypnotherapy yet?
I have, yep, I've
Okay.
been doing it for about a month.
Okay.
And
Have you noticed results?
I
I'm
have
so curious about this. I think it's really cool.
part of the hypnotherapy is related to identity work and who you really want to be and like the new version of yourself, right? And so it's very self-love focused about the fact that you're worthy and just like
Mhm.
things like that,
That's so
for like a
important.
25-minute session. And then
Yep.
the other one actually has to do with shadow work and just timelines in your life that have been challenging and just visualizing those timelines. It's like EMDR a little bit, EMDR therapy. When you think about like kind of traumatic times in your life or just like hard times in your life in general, and then you compartmentalize it and then bring light to it. Like first process it and then bring light to it. And then it's like you put it back in your timeline and you're like,
Yeah.
well, let's bring light to it. And it still was hard,
Yeah.
but how can we move forward into this other version of ourselves that loves ourselves and doesn't wake up with that anxiety every day and doesn't let their past hold them back?
Yeah. And for your meditation practice, is it like a track on Spotify? Do you use any help, or is that internal, just your own, something you've developed yourself? Or is it like Headspace or
Used Headspace
okay.
and I've used Oprah and Deepak had
Okay.
some
Yeah.
really cool meditation series that they did a few years ago that you could buy. They were expensive, honestly, but
Oh, I'm sure.
I bought 3 of them years ago and they were like 20-minute meditations and they had a theme.
Yeah.
But most recently, I literally just go on YouTube and let the algorithm choose for me what meditation is good today. And sometimes it's like
That's cool.
Abraham Hicks, and she's just hyping you up for 20 minutes. And sometimes it's a guided meditation about healing or just a good mindset.
Yeah.
So YouTube
That's
has a
great.
ton of free meditations that anybody can hop on and do any day.
Yeah. I'm well, not this, none of this. I didn't expect to talk about meditation, but I think it's so important because you brought it up as a means to show up in your 100% for your team, family, your
Mhm.
children. And
And
it's so, and for
for myself.
yourself. I think that's probably the most important, right? To have, to be able to show up for all those people. I think you have to bring the energy for you first. And it's like that they say you have to love yourself before you love others. And
It's
it's
like when you're on the
the same thing.
airplane and they're
Yeah.
telling you to put the mask on yourself. You can put it on even your kids, right?
Yep.
Like I think our first instinct is, oh, put the mask on the kids first. But how can we put the mask on anyone if we don't have it on ourselves first?
Totally. Yeah. And I can relate. I've done the meditation, I've done the journaling. For me, like the fitness has been the biggest piece. And so first thing in the morning, I'll grab like a couple of shots of espresso, food, I'm in the gym. And that has allowed me, just like what you're saying, has allowed me to show up for my family, my wife, my team, and it's much better. Okay, that was a quick tangent. Let's get back. I want to, before we go into, for everyone listening, I think, because you have an incredible background in marketing, 18 plus years in the advertising industry. You've been at Rakuten Marketing, Newton X, Agility, and then you co-founded Above the Fold. You just briefly said like the flexibility. What
Yeah.
was, why did you start your own thing?
Well, so even from the minute I started working in corporate environments when I was 18 years
Yeah.
old, I just have always been an intrapreneur at
Okay.
different places and just used it as a way to create my own business within the company and just finding efficiencies. And there's ever since I started working in corporate, I just felt like everything moved really slow and my mind just moves really fast. And so I was always just saying, improve this process and how can I make this more efficient, even like when I started working in the call center when I was 18 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think it was just natural. And I just really enjoyed solving problems and making things more efficient internally. And then I got to a point where I was working for an international marketing agency that was based out of Japan. And they had offices all over the world, all over the United States.
Mm-hmm.
And I just found myself again being like, things are moving really slow. How can we make things faster? How can we make things more efficient? And it really is hard to do that in companies with thousands of people.
Sure.
And
Yeah.
and then I just found myself like making these companies, to be frank, a lot of money, just millions and millions of dollars. And I think I was becoming a mom for the second time. And I was just like, how can I get more flexibility? It was before everybody was working from home a lot.
Okay.
And I had negotiated being able to work from home. And luckily, my company was cool with that. But I just found myself like, why not? Why not work from home for a little bit and be a mom and see if I can start my own thing? Because I'm
Yeah.
already making this company like so much money that, why not? And so I think that's where the motivation came from, is like working in these corporate environments that were just moving so slow. And I'm like, I want to move faster, but also I feel
Mm-hmm.
capable of doing this. Like I've made this company
You
a
were
lot of,
ready.
and I know how to sell. I think 99% of it is if you feel comfortable with sales, then you can start your own company. And so, yeah, I think I just got motivated mainly because of the motherhood thing. I
Okay.
think
That makes sense.
it gave me that little extra thing to say, I want to work from home. And so how can I do that?
Awesome. That's great.
And
I was going to dive into your brand founder story, but before we do that, I want to make sure everyone understands the game you're playing, like where you're operating in, because I think it makes your personal brand that much more impressive. So programmatic advertising, a lot of people have heard about it. Founders have heard the term. Exactly what is it? Because
yeah,
I think it's overwhelming for a lot of people.
it is. And it's been really fun to have a niche agency in this particular part of marketing, because I've noticed people over the last 5 years, their eyes glaze over when the term programmatic is mentioned. They're just like, that, I don't know, that could
Yeah,
mean
like
things, and it is a very technical term. And so I have really had to refine my elevator pitch a lot to just say, let's keep it really simple. And how I tend to explain it to people just from a very simple perspective is like, everybody does Google Ads, and Google Ads is great for capturing demand.
yeah.
But programmatic advertising helps you create more of that demand by reaching your ideal customers across websites, streaming TV, podcasts, audio platforms like Spotify and SoundCloud, and apps.
Okay.
So if you think of the apps that we're consuming on TV, we're consuming TV on Hulu and Netflix and Fubo TV. And then instead of listening to AM, FM radio, now we're consuming our radio on Spotify. and
Yeah.
podcasts and those kind of platforms. So it's really a matter of taking what's working really great on Google, and then in terms of who your customer is and how much it costs you to acquire a customer, and then expanding to different ad formats so that you can drive more growth.
So do you recommend that everybody start with Google and get their, I mean, you had said earlier, like you partner with a lot of people to make sure your clients have everything set in
Yeah.
stone before they come to you. So is programmatic the last step
I
to,
would say it depends on the client and the industry,
okay.
because 9 times out of 10, I would tell you, got to make sure you have a really good converting website. So
Yep.
let's start there. Let's make sure that you understand your customer persona. And whether that's hiring a branding agency or whatever it is, it's important to know who that is. And then I do recommend testing some budget in Google to just say, who, so that clients understand who is my customer and how
Sure.
much does it cost me to acquire a customer. And a lot of times on Google, people will go if they already know about your brand, right? So if they know about your brand, they'll click on it. It's like an easier
Got
sale.
it. Yeah.
And so it's okay, now I know my customer. It takes me $150 to acquire a customer. And they've done that research. What do I need to do now to grow my business? And it's, should they have started on TV first? Probably not, because they need to make sure that they're showing up on Google if somebody watches a TV ad.
Yeah.
And
It's probably just
so,
a piece of the puzzle.
yes.
Yeah.
And so we want to just make sure all the puzzle pieces are in place before we turn TV on, which really is pouring gas on a fire, because then more people are aware of the brand and more people are going to Google to try to find you. More people are going to your site to try to find you. So if the site conversion rate's not good, if they can't find you on Google,
Yeah.
it just doesn't set us up for success.
That makes
The
a lot of
only
sense.
caveat to that would be if there's companies that have sensitive categories on Google, like cannabis
Yeah.
or med spas or kind of health related industries, Google's really sensitive to that stuff and they will turn you off. And so those type of companies, like they have to think outside of the box on how do I run marketing? Because I keep getting turned off on Google.
Yep.
And so for them, it's like a very natural thing to say, I've got to try some other ad formats and start with programmatic. But it's pretty rare to start with that. I would recommend people starting in other areas first. Like people come to me and their SEO strategy's all messed up. And when you search for their brand
Yeah.
name, all their traffic's going to their competitor. And they don't even, like, they really need to fix their SEO situation before we turn some kind of awareness advertising on.
Right. Yeah.
Otherwise,
The
they're
bucket is
all
leaking.
that money to send it to their competitor.
Yeah. I work with a lot of clients like that before. They're like, hey, we want to do social media, right? Organic social. I'm like, okay, cool. Why now? And they're like, it hasn't been working with whoever did it before. And oftentimes it's because they don't have the first step, right? The branding, they don't have the positioning down, the messaging, they don't know their ICP, right? They're very unclear on who they're targeting. They're trying to target everyone. And let's work on that first. And then, yes, let's move forward. Let's get some social, organic social, I think works really well. You can test a lot of different content pieces and then see what messaging is working and converting the best, and
Mhm.
then turn that stuff into paid ads. And then it sounds like you're saying, okay, great. Now that's all working. Come to me and we'll put it on steroids.
Yeah. Also, another caveat would be like really technical B2B companies, they have a really long sales cycle.
Yeah.
And so that's just a hard sale. And you're trying to find these really niche decision makers. And so programmatic works really well for that as well, because we do a lot of ABM strategies where, let's say your sales team is focusing on 200 accounts this quarter. They're whining and dining them, they're sending them gifts,
Yep.
and these decision makers are just harder to get in front of. And so what we do along with the sales team whining and dining and going out and visiting and things is we'll actually geo-fence the corporate offices of those locations and layer on the decision makers that makes sense for them. And then we'll bombard them with TV, podcast ads, audio ads, display, native video, just like hitting them everywhere. So let's say you're a payroll company
Yeah.
and you're wanting to
Complete
get in touch
omnipresence.
with HR decision makers or
Yeah.
payroll decision makers. Like, think about how powerful that is for your sales team to bombard those decision makers at these key companies with these type of ads. And I was on another podcast for a marketing agency that we partner with, and they hired us to do that ABM strategy. And they said, oh yeah, our salesperson, they went into one of the offices and the first thing the person said was, I saw your ad today. And it just created that credibility that was really powerful for that salesperson
That's
and
huge.
kind of set them off on the right foot.
Yeah. It's about staying top of mind too.
Yeah.
There's so many, I think that's half of the game today,
Mhm.
especially B2B space, is your customers not, most customers, I think 93% aren't ready to buy
Yeah.
at any given time. 93% of the market's not there. They're not ready.
And I think on average, it's 33 to 55 touch points for B2B.
Yeah.
Whereas with B2C, it's 10 to 15 or something. And
Yep.
so the cool thing about B2B, there's so many unique ways that you can keep all those people top of mind. You can do the ABM strategy, but you can also, a lot of B2B companies go to a lot of events.
Yeah, a
So
lot.
they have 2 events a month, and sometimes they have a booth there.
Yep.
Sometimes they don't. But as part of the B2B strategy, we do ABM, but we also do an event strategy layered onto that where we're geo-fencing the actual events that they're going to, 24 events a year.
Cool.
We're capturing the audience, we're serving them ads, and then we're also layering on like a retargeting element because we're finding all these people at all the events and then all these ABM strategies. And so we want to make sure that we're covering the funnel. And then they've also got a CRM file of people that they met at all these events. They've been scanning all these badges. So we're constantly uploading new CRM files into our programmatic campaigns as well that say, over these 24 events over the last 12 months, here's the list of people that we met.
Yeah.
And we've already had one touch point with. So now we're going to hit them on TV and podcasts and all these other places because we know it takes 33 to 55 touch points. And so it's just utilizing that first party data as well as the events, as well as figuring out who's our customer persona and doing some of that customer persona targeting as well.
And when you say TV, I immediately think, who's watching TV ads? Just
We're watching them more than we ever have because
really?
I personally, like 10 years ago, had TiVo.
Okay.
And I would fast forward every single ad for years. And it makes me cringe now because I'm like, oh, that was a lot of ad spend that people just fast forwarded through.
Yeah.
But like when I'm watching Hulu, like I was watching Modern Family on Hulu, I think last night or something with my family, and there's 3 ads that you cannot skip. Like you literally, there's no way.
It's true. Yeah.
And so I feel like we're more engaged in advertising than ever because you can't skip some of the inventory.
Yeah.
Like on connected TV, the completion rate is 99%. On pre-roll, mid-roll, post-roll inventory in YouTube, you'll notice like all the ads are like getting shorter and shorter because you've got that 7 seconds before you can skip it. And as soon as you can skip it, you do. And so the cool thing about TV, I think, is like people, you have their attention for 15 to 30 seconds and they can't skip it. And they're probably sitting there. And that's almost in every app now. Like Netflix has an ad-supported tier now. And it's really just because Netflix's business won't be sustainable unless they show ads.
So do you think more consumers are turning on ads because it's just cheaper and it's easier and they're like, I don't really care, I'll watch ads?
Think it's just a cheaper version. And so you'll get those people who are like, turn on ad supported in every platform as long as it's free.
Yeah.
But then you have more like the people who have more discretionary income who are like, never show me an ad. I want to pay $20 extra on every platform, regardless if my overall bill is $300. But I think you also have most people, I think, are somewhere in between where it's on Hulu. I don't pay for ads, but on Spotify, I pay so I don't get ads. So I think it's really
It, yeah,
most of the
or
time
platform to
middle
platform. Yeah,
ground.
that makes sense. So I think the programmatic space, it has this reputation for it's unclear. It's a lot of jargon, unclear pricing, a lot of just trust us from agencies. How do you guys cut through that as a founder, you specifically,
Yeah,
as you try to earn trust in the category?
we've had a lot of practice in this just because that's all we've focused on.
Yeah.
Like
Okay.
that's been our niche for the last, I mean, for me, I've worked in programmatic for 10 years. Part of the reason I actually got into programmatic is because I was working at this international marketing agency and like programmatic was just like part of the puzzle. It was like we did programmatic, but we also did Google and we also did Facebook and we also did affiliate.
Mm,
And we had a multi-touch attribution tool that would say, even with view data, it wasn't just click data because Google Analytics is just last click data.
right.
So we would be able to see in this multi-touch attribution tool that there were 55 touch points. Some of them were view, some of them were listen on podcasts or audio, some of them were clicks. But I think all the marketers that we know for the last 20 years have just been so focused on clicks.
Mm,
What I got to see in this marketing or in this attribution is that views and listens make a really big impact on overall market share growth.
oh, for
And
sure.
so that's part of why I was like, I want to challenge marketers from going with what's easy. And I think Google years ago created a reporting platform around itself to make it look really good. And it was really focused on clicks. And it's okay, how do we put more money into Google and more money into Google? And I think it worked for a while.
Yeah.
But I think, especially now when we're moving towards all these no click results, and I think that that's not sustainable in growth. And I think people have seen like their cost per leads going up in Google and the
Oh,
CPMs
for
and
sure.
Facebook
Yep.
go up, then like programmatic CPMs have basically remained the same. Like we haven't seen a lot of price increases. And so I think it's really funny that programmatic gets this like bad rap or something because our pricing's honestly way better than Google and Facebook in a lot of ways.
Mm,
And I think it's really just because of the attribution issue of, oh, it's a view based action, it's a listen based action. It's not typically last click. Because if you think about the
right.
user journey, you see a TV ad, maybe you're on Facebook at the time, you click through Facebook and you order, or you go to Google and
Yeah,
you
there's
search
a
for
direct
it.
conversion.
So it's not typically the last click.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I've worked with a lot of affiliate teams too. Like we've assembled affiliate teams for clients, and that's always an issue where they're like, I contributed to the sale, but I'm not the last click, right? And that they only get credit for the last click.
It takes a team. Like
It
it,
does.
about
It's
it,
a
like
hundred
it's like
percent a
a
team.
soccer team. Like you can't have just power forwards, which is
No.
Google.
Yep.
You have to have the awareness. You have to have people, if they don't know about you, they don't go to Google. So you have to, for market
Absolutely.
share growth, I saw time and time again in those multi-touch attribution tools that you needed to have like a balance across the funnel. You needed to make sure that you were finding net new users, which it does take more money to acquire a new user than it
Yeah.
does to retain an old one. And everyone knows that. Everyone knows the customer acquisition cost on a new user is way higher than getting a repeat user to purchase with you. But if you want to gain market share, you have to find those new people and you have to find those new eyeballs. And so I just felt that I saw time and time again that programmatic and finding those new eyeballs helped businesses grow.
Yeah.
And it is part of an overarching strategy. And I think that we probably stand out in the sense that like maybe somebody comes to us and they don't have a solid SEO strategy and we're like, hold up, let's start there first instead
Yeah.
of just taking the business and having it do nothing. We really are like, no, you got to start here, you got to do it right with our partner, then they'll throw it back to us later. Because I think there probably are some programmatic agencies out there that just take the budget and then it just goes to the competitor. And that's really sad. But I think a lot of
It
it
doesn't
has
work.
to do with the fact that it's view based and listen-based inventory, and we've all been trained on only clicks. And that's not necessarily like programmatic's fault.
Sure.
I think it's how we've all been trained with Google. And I think we just need to shift our mindset on what's actually growing the business. Is it clicks? Is it like people who already know about us? Probably not. Like maybe a little bit,
I
but
think,
you still need to get those new eyeballs.
yeah, I think we both talk similar language in that, like, when you back up a little bit, it's about building trust and thought leadership and top of mind. And that's the whole idea behind building authority capital, right? So other people call it personal branding. It's social media management, whatever. I call it authority capital. And it's building that trust so that when you do have that sale conversation, it's that much easier, right? They're already bought in their mind. You're just
Mm-hmm.
helping them diagnose and find the right path exactly. But it's the sale's done. And I think let's jump into there, because I think that's part of the story, right? Like, you and I have connected on LinkedIn, and it wasn't a cold email. Like, I get, I don't know, 10, 15 cold emails a day. I literally don't even read them anymore. I just delete them.
Yeah.
And it wasn't a paid ad on Google or anything. I think we might have been in the same networking group or LinkedIn, and
Yeah.
you showed up, and it was like, then you were consistent, right? Consistently showed up on LinkedIn. I was like, oh, this is what, ATF is about. And this is what Jessica's about. And I'm assuming, I mean, you have 19,000 followers on LinkedIn. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
assuming it's not an accident. So, like, it's a strategy in your personal brand and building it. How do you think about your personal brand on LinkedIn and how it's impacted above the fold?
Yeah. I think it was a couple years ago where I set a goal for myself at the beginning of the year to post at least once a week on
Okay.
LinkedIn. And I tested it and played around with it. And it was before AI, where you can have AI write all of your LinkedIn posts or whatever.
Indeed.
And it was a very interesting experience because I think a lot of founders and people in general probably don't post on LinkedIn because it's a very raw experience. It's like you're putting yourself out
Yeah.
there. And I think people can be insecure and be like, why do people want to hear from me?
Yeah.
What do I have to say that's so special? And so sometimes I have this like conundrum of, I think you brought this up with me the other day of, am I just looking for attention or am I trying to offer something? And it was a very interesting social experiment for me to do that once a week
Yeah.
for an entire year. But what I found is that, like, when I was more authentic with my posts and talking about stuff that maybe was hard or that I healed from, people were definitely more like they would connect more.
Hmm.
And I built these like really cool friendships with people and like just friendships that I'm probably going to have for life because we were all doing this together for a year and just being really raw and open about our lives on LinkedIn. And
That's
sometimes I
cool.
think there's 19,000 strangers on here. Why am I sharing? But I've tried this across a couple different platforms. I've tried it on LinkedIn, and right now I'm dabbling a lot in TikTok, and I'm just like testing different things and just having fun with it. And I don't think it always has to be a business
Yeah.
post. I think like on TikTok, I post a lot about meditation and grounding and hugging a tree here and there just so that you can just come back to earth. And I think a lot of founders are like, I have to post something really businessy and it has to be like spot on and it has to be this, I don't know, perfect thing. I know this because I'm a perfectionist, by the way. And I learned through that year, it's just keep it simple and post what's on your mind. And a lot of people on TikTok even say this right now that if just post what is super easy, and a lot of times that's what's going to go viral. Take that really simple concept that you were like, I probably shouldn't post this, but you do. That's 9 times out of 10 what goes viral.
Yeah. But a
And
lot of founders will hide behind not hide, I guess that's the wrong word, but they'll use the company name and the logo instead of their own, and it's showing up as themselves. What was like, why did you decide on, especially I'm just talking like LinkedIn, because I go to LinkedIn because it's like B2B, it's very business focused.
yeah,
what value, like you at some point were like, I'm making this decision. I'm going to invest in my personal brand. I'm going to be the face of the company.
Yeah.
Why?
I think it's good for business. I'll be honest. Like it's like people want to see you. They want to see the authentic version of you. They don't necessarily, I think they want to know the service you can offer them, of course. But
Mm-hmm.
I think somebody wants to work with someone else that they know and that they trust. And I think when we're, as founders, posting who we really are and the things that we care about in business and in personal, I think it's intriguing to people because they're like, oh, I actually know this person. I know they're a human. And I
Yeah.
could go with any agency. I could go with any marketing agency. I feel like I know her. I feel like she's being authentic. She's posting about work and personal. And so I think when
Yeah.
it comes down to who should I work with in this commoditized industry, it's like that person that is being real on this platform. I want to
Yeah.
work.
I was just talking about this with someone else this morning, and it was like, at the end of the day, let's just have some fun, right? Like, I want to work with other fun people who are also knowledgeable. They're obviously, right? They're great at their craft and their skill. It's
Mhm.
like, you want to work with great people too.
And just what you just said, let's not take this so seriously.
Yeah.
Let's have some fun. And
Yeah.
I think it is scary. It's scary to put yourself out there. It's scary to come up with the perfect post. But
I was just
if
going
you
to
can
ask you
look
that.
at
Yeah.
it more in terms of, I'm just here to have fun, I'm just here to test things, and life is really not that serious.
All right. Yeah. A lot of people are afraid of posting, right? Or like, they'll call it out. They're like, I don't post because it's cringe or whatever. I'm afraid of what my neighbor might think
Yeah.
or whatever, or my partner, what they think. And it's so a lot of people, A, won't post at all, or B, they'll spend a lot of time doing the posts and then it'll post, it'll go out there and it's crickets. Like
Yeah.
I hear that
And
a
I
lot too.
I think that's the risk you take is like not every post is going to hit.
So do you
You
delete
know,
those posts?
I don't because I feel like it's still part of your journey.
Yeah.
And
I'm
I
glad you don't. That was,
it's going to be cringe to people, but who cares?
yeah,
This
no,
isn't-
for
I
sure.
mean, life in general, you're always going to have haters. You're
Oh yeah.
always going to have that, even friends that are like secretly hating on you or whatever. And it's who really cares at the end of the day? Just do you.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
and if these posts are going to help your business and if they're going to help you like just with whatever you're working on within yourself, because like sometimes I just challenge myself to do something different and if it makes me feel uncomfortable. And part of that was the LinkedIn thing where I was posting every week and it did make me feel uncomfortable sometimes and it did make me feel cringe sometimes. But feeling uncomfortable and cringe is part of growth. And also it's
Great point.
at the end of the day, who cares if your neighbor is laughing at you over something you posted if it helped you win some kind of huge deal for your company? Like, I
Yeah.
think people care too much about what other people think.
Yes. Yes. That's it. And I used to care. Years ago, I would care a lot. I'd be like, oh my God, like I can't be on Instagram. Like I have like other adult friends who are going to judge me. And if this is helping my business and helping me grow, like who cares?
Mhm.
That's the bet. But the other thing that like made me realize this, and I don't know if we as a society don't have any, we don't remember anything. There's this massive uproar of whatever is the news that week. And then the
Mhm.
next week, for the most part, everyone forgets. So
There's a
why
girl
am
on
I,
TikTok.
yeah,
There's a girl on TikTok that just goes in the middle of a food court and just starts dancing and she videos it and no one cares. Like everyone's in
yeah,
their own world anyways. Like it's really not that big of a deal. And I think we all want to think that everyone really cares that much about us. But I think most people are focused on themselves.
yeah,
And so that's actually to come full circle on where we started the conversation. It helped me have more confidence and self love when I stopped caring what other people
that's
thought.
awesome.
It was just like, no, this is more for me. Like, this is what I want to post, and it's part of my goals for my business, and not caring about what other people were going to think when I posted it. And I think that does take a lot of self-love work, because I think we can sometimes be insecure and really care if we're being cringe. But like,
Yeah.
at the end of the day, people really don't care that much.
No. And who cares if they do? The other thing is, you just mentioned this. I want to highlight this a little bit. You're always going to have haters. And a lot of people, from when they're thinking from a brand and they're like, we want to target everyone, we're for everyone, right? And I think this goes back to earlier what we were talking about. What you need to be is, you need to be serving one niche, and you need to be serving a certain person, and stand up for what you believe in, and they'll be attracted to you. And you're always going to have haters like that. That's the sign, I think, you're doing something right.
Yeah, it is, straight up. Why else would they hate you?
Exactly. Yeah.
Unless you were
So
doing something that they wanted.
haters going to hate. If, for anyone who's listening right now and they're like, maybe I should post, what would you tell them, just beyond?
It's just like a good personal experiment for everyone to just like maybe do it and write down how they're feeling after. And
Yeah,
just,
that's cool.
if it's, oh, I'm really insecure, or I'm really caring about what other people think after you post, like, it's shadow work is this woo term, but I think it's good. Like, anytime you're feeling uncomfortable, whether it's you're posting and you're putting yourself out there, and then you press that button to post, and then you feel this, oh no, what did I just do? How are people going to judge me? How is the post going to perform, and all this stuff? Like, it's good to just
Yeah.
reflect how you're feeling in that moment, and like work on that, and just be like, why do I care so much about what people think? And then maybe just start doing the work on yourself to get to a point where you don't care anymore about what people think.
I couldn't agree more. So
And
true.
then just doing it over and over again,
Yeah.
because the
Getting
more
used to
you
it.
build a habit, then the more it's like you don't even think about it anymore.
Yeah.
You're just like, oh yeah, there's haters out there. I might get a bad comment or something. And it's just so built within you that you don't even think of it.
Yeah, for sure. What And that's so true, and that just comes with the territory. Like, you have to, and you almost have to feel bad for the people who are like negatively commenting if you're getting that. What would you what do you know now about building your, like, a reputation as a founder, that you'd wish you'd known 6 years ago when you were starting ATF?
I think I'm a lot more confident now, for sure. I think
Which
I
is
think
huge.
through a lot of, when you have a lot of failures and you realize, oh, I survived that failure, and then you don't get scared of failure anymore, because you're like, I'm going to fail fast now, because I know that it's going to hurt, but then I know I'm going to heal really quick. I think a lot of founders and people, or people who have a lot of responsibility, realize this,
Yeah.
is they're not scared of failure anymore. They're actually, give it to me, because I'm going to get stronger, and it's going to be like my
Yeah.
superpower now. Like, I can't tell you how many failures I've had.
Mm.
Oh, and all they've done is make me stronger.
Yeah.
And so
I think
if
that's part of it.
you
Yeah.
hide in a corner and run from failure, I think people realize that it actually can grow you in a lot of ways.
So true. It's those tough times that make you stronger. It's the failures. As long as you're learning from it, it's not a failure. We're almost up on the hour. So, rapid fire close, my favorite part. You can pass if you want, but super quick. We'll try to do 3 questions, and we'll ready to go.
Yeah.
Let's do it. All right. So, what is first thing you do every morning? What's the routine?
Meditate
Okay, that was an easy one. We
for
already
about
talked about
20 to
that.
40 minutes.
I don't know how you find time to do that for 40 minutes. It's amazing. All right. One LinkedIn habit every founder should steal right now.
I just think posting authentically and often,
Okay.
just to, I mean, even if it's just for the feeling of the feels, and being like, how can I move past this? I think it's just a cool learning experience.
Okay. What's the biggest myth you think there is about digital advertising?
That it doesn't work. I think a lot of the reason that it perhaps isn't working is because you haven't put the right work into it. Like maybe
Mm.
you need a new website, maybe you need to understand your customer better. But I think as long as you put those pieces in place, you can get it to a place where it'll work for sure.
And we've talked about this before, so I'm going to ask it as part of this as a follow-up. How much time would you give someone? Like if a founder is stepping into programmatic or digital advertising in general, what's the timeline? Is it like a month and hey, it didn't work in a month, I'm out?
Programmatic's a little different in that way, where it's like it does take a minute to test things. You
Yeah.
know, I think if you're focusing on the bottom of the funnel and first party data as part of your programmatic strategy, like only site retargeting, only CRM targeting, only people who have been exposed to another touch point before they've been exposed to programmatic. If they've already been exposed to other touch points, it's easier to ROI it pretty quickly. But if it's like a net new customer that you're trying to warm them up, like especially for B2B, right? Like it takes
Yeah.
30 touch points, and sometimes these sales cycles are 2 years. So it's like for that client, like you're going to have to spend a good 2 years. I hate to say it, to say, is this really working? Because if your sales cycle is 2 years, doesn't that make sense? Where it's
Yeah.
like, I really put big effort into this. And I have had clients that have been patient and been like, yeah, our sales cycle is 2 years and we're going to give this that time. And it's totally worked. And then they've grown 15% year over year. They've increased their budget 15% year over year. And they're just seeing that continued growth. But I think every client's different. And on average, it's about 3 to 6 months to be like, is this working for our brand?
Okay, good. I wanted to ask that because I think a lot of people are confused. They give up too early.
People are just like, yeah, I mean, is it working in 2 weeks? And like for Google, I feel like you can see that a little bit. And so I think that's why we're trained. We
Yeah.
are trained
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
way as marketers to be like, oh, Google, I turned it on and it did something within a week. But when you're layering on these net new customers who have never seen your brand before, you're
Oh,
trying to get them to go do that search. It just takes a little bit more warming up.
yeah.
But
Yeah,
it helps
totally.
when you can, first of all, understand who that customer is. And so you're serving them a relevant advertising that's relevant to them. So they're going to be more likely to listen.
Yep.
And then, so if that makes sense, it's
Yeah.
helpful when it's
No, it
relevant
does.
to users.
We just broke our rules for the rapid fire way too much, too long here,
So
but no,
sorry.
that was important. All
Yeah.
right, so personal brand, vanity, or is it a necessity?
I think a lot of people think it's vanity and like the haters. They're like, oh, they're being vain. Like the
Mm,
whole world is about them. But I think it really drives a lot of success for your company, and it can challenge you to be a better person as well. And because you're
totally.
reflecting on things,
Yeah.
right? You're thinking about things, you're reflecting, you're posting, you're getting feedback. It's that community element. And so yeah, I do not, I think it's a little bit vain. Let's be honest, just a little bit. But I think it's a very important portion of branding for your company and for yourself is to put yourself out there because people want to know the authentic version of you.
Yeah. I don't think it's vanity at all. Maybe 1%. And the rest
Yeah.
is, I think if you're doing it correctly, if you're trying to build a community, you're bringing value to the world. And I
Yeah,
think you don't want to be small and you've got a light that I think you can. There's a saying like a candle loses nothing by lighting another candle.
for sure. If
Uh,
that's your intention, there's no vanity in it at all.
yeah.
And so I think that
Yeah.
should be the intention for sure.
I think that's how you can approach it in a good spot. And I would agree with you. Like just the act of doing it is growthful. All
Mhm.
right. Last question. What is one thing running a business has taught you that nothing else could?
That I am stronger than I thought I could ever be because it requires a lot of grit to be a business owner,
Mm,
and you need to be able to deal with the haters and the hard times, and it just makes you realize like really how strong you are and that you can do anything honestly.
that's awesome. I love that. Jessica, it's awesome. Awesome having you on. Great always to talk to you. Before I let you go, where can people find you and follow your work? Best spots.
So our website is getabovethefold.com. And you can find me on LinkedIn at Jessica Chase, MBA. And I'm also on TikTok under my name. And I think I also have a handle called Programmatic Ads. So yeah.
Awesome.
Thank you for having me. It's been really fun.
Oh, thank you. And for everyone listening, thank you so much for tuning in. And as always, reach out with a comment. And if you have let us know what you want to hear it next. That was Jessica Chase. And here's the thing. She found me because she showed up consistently, clearly in a space where most people in our industry stay quiet. And that's what visibility does. It creates the conversations that turn into partnerships, clients, and deals before you ever make a single sales call. So if this episode resonated with you, share it with a founder who's been waiting for the right time to start showing up. Subscribe to Return on Reputation here, and we'll see you next week.